During World War I, the Gallipoli Peninsula became a living hell for the Allied forces of Britain and France. Why did they repeatedly launch reckless charges, incurring such immense sacrifices? In this campaign, the Allied forces suffered over 250,000 casualties, and the Ottoman forces nearly 300,000. But the truth is, this failure harbored issues of disregarded intelligence and structural organizational problems that continue to plague institutions even today. What was their true nature? In this video, you will learn why such a reckless operation was approved, who overlooked what crucial details, and what lessons we can draw for the modern era. Now, let's delve into the full scope of the Gallipoli landing's collapse. The main feature will also detail the political motives and military misjudgments that played a critical role. By 1914, World War I had descended into a stalemate on the Western Front. Trench warfare became a quagmire, and a new breakthrough was desperately needed. It was then that Winston Churchill, the First Lord of the Admiralty, proposed an attack on the Ottoman Empire as a way to open up the Eastern Front. The target: the Dardanelles Strait and the Gallipoli Peninsula, a strategic choke point connecting the Mediterranean and Black Seas. Controlling it would open supply lines to Russia. Furthermore, a grand strategy was envisioned. If the Ottoman Empire withdrew from the war, Germany could be attacked from two sides. At the time, the Ottoman Empire was widely regarded as the sick man of Europe, with its military power perceived as severely weakened. Allied officers were overly optimistic, believing they could easily subdue the region with their powerful fleet and modern weaponry. The Gallipoli operation was hailed as a knockout blow strategy, offering a swift end to the quagmire of trench warfare and garnering immense expectations. If successful, it held the potential to alter the course of history, truly a beacon of hope. In February 1915, the initial moves began with a naval bombardment of the Dardanelles Strait. Allied forces attacked the forts with overwhelming firepower. Initially, many of the Ottoman coastal batteries were outdated and some were easily silenced. The Allied forces seemed to be progressing smoothly. By March, minesweepers began clearing the strait's mines, attempting to advance further inland. Up to this point, the operation was proceeding as planned. However, the Ottoman forces were by no means helpless. Under the guidance of German officers, they had begun constructing intricate defensive positions. The Allied advance was slow and arduous, with their ships encountering unexpected resistance. Yet, headquarters continued to receive optimistic reports. When a naval breakthrough was deemed difficult, the plan shifted to landing ground troops on the peninsula to capture the forts from the flank. By this point, the Ottoman forces had anticipated the Allied intentions and fortified the peninsula's defenses. But the British and French remained unaware. And so, on April 25, 1915, a massive landing operation on the Gallipoli Peninsula was launched. However, the selection of landing sites was haphazard. British and Anzac forces had not conducted thorough reconnaissance beforehand. Anzac Cove, their chosen spot, featured steep cliffs and narrow beaches, making it a perfect firing target for the defenders. The Ottoman army exploited this terrain to its fullest, raining concentrated fire from higher ground. Soldiers who landed found themselves trapped with no escape. Furthermore, coordination between the army and navy was completely lacking. Naval bombardment failed to support the landing troops or silence enemy positions. The supreme commander of this operation was subjected to political pressure from home and excessive expectations for success. They underestimated or simply ignored the grim reports from the front, continuously ordering the operation to proceed. And they completely misjudged the resilience of the Ottoman forces, particularly the astonishing fighting spirit of the units led by Mustafa Kemal. But at this point, a pitfall no one noticed was opening up. It was the psychology of not being able to quit that was eroding the organization. Already, enormous manpower and resources had been committed. The pressure of rendering all previous efforts futile if the operation were halted weighed heavily on the high command. This is known as the sunk cost fallacy. The greater the resources invested, the harder it becomes to admit failure. Moreover, groupthink was rampant within the high command. Challenging the authority of the supreme commander was incredibly difficult. The horrific realities faced by soldiers on the ground were not accurately conveyed to headquarters or back home. Information was conveniently filtered. Churchill, in particular, had his reputation as the architect of the operation at stake, believing a Gallipoli success would significantly boost his political career. Political motives overshadowed military rationality, clouding objective judgment. The lives of the soldiers were secondary. Reckless charges were repeated, sending soldiers quite literally to the hill of the dead. The option of withdrawal was excluded for a long time. Everyone knew it was a failure, yet it couldn't be stopped. This fundamental structure was what doomed the tragedy of Gallipoli. Days after the landings, both armies found themselves locked in the same stalemate as the Western Front, facing each other across trenches only a few kilometers apart. Supplies were delayed, water and food became scarce. With summer, diseases spread, and the number of casualties exploded. Field hospitals were overwhelmed. Repeated, meaningless assaults shattered the soldiers' morale, with many attempting to desert or self-mutilate to escape the battlefield. Finally, in August, after the last offensive failed, calls for withdrawal grew stronger within the Allied forces. But the decision came too late. Ultimately, from late 1915 to January 1916, the Allied forces quietly began their withdrawal. This was dubbed the operation's only success. But the cost was immense, and Gallipoli became a profound and tragic scar for the British Army. The Gallipoli Campaign was more than just a military operational failure. It is a treasure trove of lessons applicable to modern organizational decision-making. Poor planning, underestimation of intelligence, and a lack of rationality driven by political motives, these are the essence of failures repeated across eras. Why was such a reckless operation approved? It was due to the authority and political ambition of the high command, coupled with the disregard for on-the-ground intelligence. Who overlooked what? The terrain, the enemy's fighting spirit, and the lack of Army-Navy coordination. All of these could have been prevented with proper reconnaissance and analysis. What are the lessons for today? To avoid the sunk cost fallacy and groupthink, to always base decisions on objective information, and to have the courage to withdraw. The quality of decision-making differs greatly between those who know of this failure and those who do not. History serves as a compass for the future. The tragedy of Gallipoli constantly asks us, do we have the courage to accurately assess the situation before us and admit our mistakes? If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We release one history of failure video every day.
この失敗は歴史のほんの1ページ。世界にはまだ語られていない失敗が数多くあります。失敗の歴史をチャンネル登録して次の物語もぜひご覧ください。